people always ask me, how did you get where you are? And my answer is always, I do what I love. I come from a place of passion. And if we all do that again, we will find that we will start living.
Today I have Trish Mandewo, did I say that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Here as my guest, and welcome.
Thank you.
I am super excited to have you here as my guest because I've seen you around, we've interacted a little bit. I know there's a lot more about you that I don't know. I think that you probably have a super, super rich story. And we haven't even scratched the surface as far as the little bit time that I've spent with you. So, Trish, for our audience sake, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about who Trish Mandewo is, where you're from, and what you're up to these days.
Sure. Do we have 2 hours?
Well, we can try to sum it up as quickly as we can.
Sure. So my name is Trish, as you said. Actually, my name is Tarisai.
Tavasai?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and I moved to Canada 8 years ago through the United States. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and I left right after high school and went to the United States where I got my education. I was in the science field for many years, starting off in microbiology and then into embryology. And then I decided to shift and start my own business. So in the United States, I actually had 2 businesses, and then I moved to Canada, and I thought I would go back to the working field. But once you are an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur. I just couldn't fathom having to work for someone else again. So when I moved to Canada, actually my husband and I were brainstorming. And I said, I want to do something different than what I was doing in the US. And my daughter came and said, but nobody's asking me. And I'm going, well, what should I do, sweetie? And she said, we should have a tumble bus. So fast forward, sure enough, the gym bus concept was not here in Canada. So I started the tumble bus, Vancouver tumble bus, which I ran for 4.5 years and just sold it a month ago. Actually, it was a beautiful thing because we rebranded from tumble bus to gym bus. And at the same time, I started licensing it. So that freed me. Now I've got an owner, Gym Bus Entertainment, number 1, that's operating the Vancouver area. And now I can concentrate on growing the business throughout Canada and beyond. Who knows?
So even though you sold it, you're looking to license it to more people. So it's not like it's sold and it's done.
No,
It's open.
exactly. So I only sold a license to 1 person for the Vancouver area.
Right.
So now I'm looking to sell more licenses to the island, to Kelowna, Kamloops, Prince George,
Is it just restricted to British Columbia or across Canada?
I'm just going to start closer to home. But if the opportunity starts off in Saskatchewan or Alberta, yes, we'll be going for sure.
And it's a great concept. So for our audience that may be wondering what Gym Bus is, I highly recommend to investigate this further if you're thinking about franchising or licensing a business, which is a pretty simple, straightforward type of business from what I understand.
Yeah. It's actually a very fun concept because I take a 40-foot school bus and I get it out and then I outfit it with gymnastics equipment plus more. And it's almost like a magic bus for the children. And then we train the owners, and actually we do have the opportunity of actually helping if it's girls, like young ladies that under 30 or under 35 actually, we can help get them financing, as well as if they are older women still, we do have partnerships where we can get them financing to get their gym bus and to have their own business if they've always dreamt of having a business. And we actually train them so that they are ready to go from the get-go.
So that's one business.
That's one business.
Okay,
Yes.
share the other businesses that you have and what you're doing,
Oh,
because
my
you're just
exciting
absolutely
life.
like fascinating. Like
Thank you.
you're like a nonstop busy bee.
I'm a serial entrepreneur.
You're a serial entrepreneur.
That's correct. So my other business, I have myself and two other ladies. We started the Women's Collaborative Hub, which is a women empowerment and leadership business that we started right here in the Tri-Cities, but we're going to be taking it global because we truly, truly believe that women empowerment is the way to go for the world to be what we want it to be.
And you just had a big award event.
Yes, we had our inaugural event, which was a sold out event and such an inspiring event that even now, when I think about it, I just smile.
I was there. It was a packed room, that's for sure.
Yes.
That's for sure. So how did you guys come up with that idea of creating, that was the Women Influencers Award?
Yes. Yeah, we called it the WCH Women Influencers Awards, but what it was about was it was celebrating the unsung heroes. So how it came about is our Women Collaborative Hub, we actually have every month we have what we call world cafes where women come together in one room and we have meaningful conversations and we talk about all the issues that affect us in our day-to-day lives. So through the world cafe, women told us they were looking for a way to celebrate themselves because as you know, most of the time women, we are just go go go, and we find it hard to stop and celebrate ourselves. We're always setting the bar higher and higher and higher. So through through listening to these women, we said, you know what, let's start right here. Let's celebrate the unsung heroes. And if you notice, most of the awards that happen, around us, they're always business oriented. Celebrating women in business, celebrating women's successes. But we wanted to celebrate, yes, the women business successes, as well as the normal women, those unsung heroes that are doing so much for our communities and go unnoticed.
And there are so many of them.
Oh my gosh. We had 132 nominations. And as we sat in listening to the interviews that were going on, we were so touched to see how much women in our community, in the Tri-Cities, Maple Ridge, and Pitt Meadows, what they do. And we kept getting phone calls from Vancouver, even from Toronto, we got phone calls.
Wow.
And people saying, you need to do it here because the unsung heroes are everywhere.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
That is for sure everywhere. Too many people go not being acknowledged for their whole lives. So it's a great thing that you guys are doing with this event. Like,
yeah,
so.
and you know what's amazing is that even after we finished the first one, we got more people that were in that room, and they said, "Thank you so much." Because now I just thought the people have already started making lists of who they want to nominate next year.
Wow.
Because they started thinking, "Wow, yes, look at that person that I've always known, and I never thought of acknowledging them for what they have done." But only because we did these unsung heroes, it opened their minds up and they said, you know what, I need to celebrate them. And this is my way of saying thank you for being who you are and for giving as much as you have given.
That is awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah. We think so.
Yeah, for sure. So now, if I may, you had mentioned something, because I was there at the awards, and at one point you mentioned that you were homeless. Are you okay in sharing about that? Because I did come up to you afterwards and I said, I want to know more about that. But then we did not talk about it because I had to go. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you now if you're open about sharing that.
Definitely. I call it the homelessness that I didn't know that it was, right? So from the age of about 8 to say 12, my dad had lost his job back in Zimbabwe, and my mom was actually living in the village with my other sisters, and my sister Josephine and myself were living with my father. So what would happen is, since dad had lost his job, we couldn't afford to pay for the mortgage. So what they do in that country is they come, they lock up the doors, they take everything in your house and they put it outside, and they let you be, with all your belongings outside. So my dad was very stubborn, and he's like, "Yeah, we're not gonna go anywhere. We're gonna stay here because I'm gonna make things work, and we are gonna get back in the house, at one point." So he would take. We had a huge table, and he would take tarp and blankets and put it on the sides of the tables, and that's where my sister and I slept. And my dad had to sleep on the chair at the edge of the furniture because he had to protect the furniture. Otherwise, because it was outside, otherwise people could just come in, grab, and would end up with nothing. So that went on, off and on. It was never continuous. He would go and work and find temporary jobs, work, and we get back in the house, and then it happens again, and then out we go. So it was a cycle, for that period of time. But the interesting thing is, I never thought I was homeless when this was going on. Only 4 years ago, when I was here in Canada, I was finalist for the Small Business BC Awards, Best Concept, and I had to come up with a speech as I was going to the awards that day. I was driving on the highway, and I'm trying to think of, I never get my speeches, I never write, I speak from my heart. So I'm driving there, and I said, what am I going to share today? And they had encouraged, share your journey. And I said, my journey always starts from the US, but I never look back to my childhood. But that day, I forced myself to go and look at that. And it dawned to me. I said, oh my gosh, we were homeless. And I said, was it homeless? I'm not sure. So I picked up the phone. I called my sister Josephine in Oklahoma. And I said, I was just thinking about this. Were we homeless? And she laughed. And she goes, you're just now realizing that? Yes, we were. And I started bawling because I never had realized that until 4 years ago. And I think the reason why it was like that is because my father was the most positive person that I never knew. He always had a good perspective in mind. Yes, we are outside, but we can make it. We got to a point where we didn't have food. This part always makes me cry, but today I will not cry. So I remember one day we didn't have food, and he said, let's go to Auntie's house. My dad had a cousin that was very well to do. And so he said, go there while I go look for a job. You and Josephine go visit Auntie. So we went to this aunt's house, and she literally took bread that was molded and threw it to us. And she wouldn't let us in her house. We were not allowed to get in her house because we were too poor. So she threw the molded bread.
Was she
to us.
embarrassed? That kind of sounds mean.
I think that's just who she was. If you were not at her level, she didn't care for you, pretty much. So she throws that bread. We take home and we said, Dad, she didn't give us food. All she gave us was this molded bread. And you know what my father said? He took a one plate stove, took a hanger, and I remember that like it was yesterday, folded the hanger in a zigzag, put it on top of the one plate, and he said, let's toast it. It'll kill all the mold. And that's what we did. And up to today, I can test just from my mind how molded bread tastes when you toast it, because that's what we ate for a few days. But like I said, my dad managed, even when he was saying that, he was like, no, that's okay, let's just toast it, it'll be just fine. But the world just works so differently, because fast forward, this aunt, when she died, she had nothing, and guess who buried her?
You guys?
We did. And my father was at the top of everything. When she couldn't take care of herself, she went to my father for him. The people that she used to be close to, none of them could look at her. Now she was alone. She was dying alone. I was still very pained by this experience, but my father said, let bygones be bygones. And he said to me, are you going to lose anything from helping her? And I said, no. And he said, yeah, so we are helping her.
What an incredible example, your dad.
Oh my gosh, he's my hero. and he is the person that has made me who I am. I mean, of course, my mom has her own strengths that contributed to who I am today. But yeah, I've got amazing parents
Are they
that
still in
really.
Zimbabwe?
My dad passed away, but my mom is still in Zimbabwe. Yeah.
And you're going back
Yeah, I'm actually going back
on
to
a trip.
Zimbabwe. Yeah, it's a philanthropy trip. I actually partnered with Ruben's Shoes, who are here local, and we collected 10,000 pairs of shoes. And as well, we got the Rotary Club to donate medical equipment and tons of books. And we got Blanket BC to donate
Are
blankets.
you bringing them over?
They just arrived in Zimbabwe 2 weeks ago.
'Cause I was going to say that's a lot to carry yourself.
Yeah,
Did you
no,
ship
it
them
was
in a big
shipped a 10,000,
container?
a 40-foot container. So it already arrived. It's waiting for us to get there.
How long did it take to collect all that?
Actually, the shoes, surprisingly, because it was a joint effort, between Ruben's Shoes and my connections, we just were going through social media. I think we did it in a record, I think 4 months.
That's
We had
incredible.
10,000 pairs of shoes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and we had amazing volunteers who came to help because you got to pack them by size into boxes and then label the boxes and put them on the container. So we took pictures on this side, so I can't wait to get to the other side.
Are these kids'
And
shoes or are they adult size?
They're both kids and adults. But we mainly are taking the shoes to the orphanages as well as to widows that I had worked with briefly when I went last year with my daughter. So we put t-shirts for the widows. They wanted to have uniforms, so we got another organization that donated t-shirts for us, and we've got blankets and sheets for the widows and for the orphans, and then we've got the shoes and we have the books, and yeah, we've got so much stuff that we're looking forward to just sharing with these amazing people.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. I can just picture the excitement of the people when they receive
Exactly.
the stuff.
Exactly.
Now, you were just mentioning to me just before we started this interview that you just initiated a nonprofit. Can you share about that and what that's about?
Most definitely, most definitely. So, with our Women's Hub, our goal is to work with women and to empower women here locally as well as global. So we were looking for a platform where we can help these women overseas. And UN and other organizations have all these grants that can be used to empower these women abroad. So we saw an opportunity. So we have partnered with Honore Gibeze, who is an amazing individual, with this nonprofit now called African People Foundation. And through this foundation, we are going to be, when we do our events here, part of the proceeds will go to this charitable organization. And then we take that money and we do programs. Some of them are going to be online, some of them we're going to be going there. But yeah, no, we're excited about that because really there is so much that can be done. And our Women's Hub also works with, we do emotional intelligence. And we really think that the world and just need emotional intelligence so much, especially in Africa, because of our educational system. It's very much academic, but you find that the EI is missing. So we're excited to be taking our program to these amazing women and to empower them through that.
This is so exciting.
Yeah,
Very exciting.
Yeah.
And you have a book.
Yes, I do.
The name of the book is
The Art of Building a Successful Business as an Immigrant.
So what prompted you to write this book?
Oh, yeah. I can tell you that. So I'm one person I'm very selfless in that when I learn something.
Really? Like, seriously? I mean, look at all the things you've been doing and all the things you're doing. Everything you do is all about helping others. Like, there's nothing you've mentioned of anything you do that is not about helping somebody else.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's why you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. So what happened was, because I'm a savvy entrepreneur and that's something that I own. I love building my businesses and I love to see them succeed. But as I'm going through that, I'm always watching how other people struggle As you know, so many businesses fail in the first year, and then the number even grows as you go to 5 years. A very small number will survive in the end, and especially for women. Why? Because when we run our businesses, we do it alone, and a lot of times that journey can be very, very lonely. So what I do is, before I did the book, I was meeting with women, and we would go on walks, and I would mentor them, and I would meet them from the stage that they are in their business, and I would give my tips, or give my suggestions. And that was happening more and more often. And people were calling me, can you help me with this, can you help me with that? So I thought, why not put it in a book, so that people can actually now have something that they can refer to, so that it can make the journey better for them, especially for new immigrants. Because I was a new immigrant. I've only been here for 8 years, but look at what I've done. I just sold my first franchise license in 4.5 years after being in business. Why? Because I know the processes. And I'm a processes person. I really, really love doing that. If To me, if it's too complicated, I'm doing it wrong. There's something I'm missing. So I'm the person that always looks for that way to do something more efficiently. So that's what's going to be in the book, coming from even finding funding. How do you find funding for your business? Right? How do you find a good mentor? Where do you go? So besides me writing part of my journey and giving my tips, I'm also going to have expert summary at the end of the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, they can also get somebody else's perspective. So it's going to be a very good book. I'm excited.
Exciting. So you're totally filling a niche there, because there are a ton of books on business.
Oh, yes.
But I don't think I've ever seen one that was specific to immigrants. So is this for immigrants just in Canada, or does it cover?
It speaks to anyone, anywhere they are. The only part that might be just specific to Canada is when we do the funding program that we're going to be sharing. For the funding, we're actually getting, because a lot of people I meet, especially women, there's so much money out there for women to start businesses, but they don't know about it. So that part, I'm going to have it, but we still have time because the book is coming out soon. If I get someone from UK or someone from the US that has the information to kind of fill in the gaps, so we can kind of make it global, that would be great as well. But otherwise, the book can speak to anyone.
So
wherever.
are you able to share maybe 1 or 2 pointers that are in the book to sort of tease our audience on, so that they know what's in there, just to go, ooh, can you share a couple of tips?
Definitely, definitely. One of the things that I'm so proud of that's in my book are the pros of success. So they're called the pros of success.
Pros?
Pros, P rules.
P rules, okay.
So
Pros.
P quotation marks and then rules. So I made my own word. It's gonna be in the dictionary eventually. The pros of
That's
success.
called ambition. It will be in the dictionary.
It will be. Mark my words. So the P rules, for me, I find so much power from the letter P, that a lot of the things that I do
P
come
for
from
power.
that. P, power, there you go. I already used it without even noticing that. But I'm going to share 3 of my P rules that are very much in the forefront of my book. The first one is purpose. As we know in life, if you don't know your purpose, it's hard for you to do anything at all. It's almost like you'll be chasing the wind. So I talk about how to find your purpose and how to use that to your advantage. The other thing I talk about is passion. People always ask me, how did you get where you are? And my answer is always, I do what I love. I come from a place of passion. And if we all do that again, we will find that we will start living. Because a lot of times, people really are waiting for something to happen so that they can start living. But start from a place of finding your passion, and then everything else will work. The third one that I'm going to share is the perseverance. Nothing ever comes easy. But I talk in my book that yes, you need to persevere, but you don't need to work harder. You need to work smarter. So I give tips on how you can do that. And also I give, I kind of guide the people. If someone didn't know what their passion or what their purpose is, I give tips in there of where to start, as well as I also give the tangible tips on how to market your business with a dime, because I was like that. I started my business, I used all my savings to buy the business, and I had no budget for marketing.
That's so typical of a startup, though.
Exactly.
Right? Most startups
Exactly.
don't have a big capital to put into a business, and they put whatever penny, just they invested in the physical things that you need, and they go, now what?
Exactly. Exactly. So I share. I mean, I've got a funny story. For example, I'm in business 1 year, and I see on Twitter that this company is doing a TV show, and the TV show is to help businesses that are struggling so that they can, go up to where they need to be. I picked up the phone and I called the company and I said, "You need to feature me on the TV show." He said, "Oh, how long have you been in business?" 1 year. And they said, "No, but we're looking for, businesses that are struggling. You're a startup. We're looking for people that have been in business and are wanting the tools to grow their business from where they are." And I said, "I've been in business for 1 year and I'm struggling. According to me and my projections, I was supposed to be at a certain stage right now, and I'm not there. So, yes, I'm struggling. So, yes, you need to feature me." She couldn't help but laugh. Needless to say, I was on the TV show.
Congratulations.
And through that TV show, I got to get one of the best mentors one can ask for. Marketing was one of, remember I told you I didn't have a budget for marketing. So I ended up with the VP of TELUS, Michael McCarthy, being my mentor. And that came through that TV show. I managed to get someone else to mentor me through sales. I got so much from that TV show, but because I went after it. And because I wasn't going to take no for an answer.
You did not give up just because they said, "Oh no, you're not what we're looking for," and you said, "Well, yes, you are what you're looking for." I'm
If you
exactly.
if you were not, now you are.
If you're looking for struggling businesses, pay attention. Good for you. Good for you.
So I share things like that, and how I use social media, to grow my business, and again, at no budget whatsoever. And this is a lot of, problems that entrepreneurs face, and they don't even know.
Exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on your book.
Thank you.
So if people want to order the book, where do they get it from?
It is going to be on Amazon.
Amazon?
On Amazon. They can get it on Amazon, yes.
And the title of the book again is, so that they can look it up?
The Art of Building a Successful Business as an Immigrant. But don't let as an immigrant fool you, because we just had to put it in that category, but anyone can pick up the book. And it's going to have the tips that apply whether you are a new immigrant or not.
Fantastic. And if people want to get in touch with you directly, what is the best way to get in touch with you to find out more about you, whether they want to interview you, whether they want to pick your brain, whether they want to know more about the businesses that you're into because you're doing so many things?
Sure. Well, you can find me. My name is Trish Mandewo, and I am all over on social media. If you just Google me, you will see the thousands of things that are there. You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Trish, and my last name Mandewo, Mandewo. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. I'm all over social media because I do love social media as a business tool for sure.
Okay, we're going to make sure that we have all those links in the show notes so that people can just click and get to you directly. So fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being my guest and for sharing a bit of your story, some of it painful, but look at you now. Look at what you've accomplished. It's been quite the journey. And you are giving back so much here, back home, traveling back and forth. You are just an inspiration and a true example of what real leadership is. So I want to thank you for that on behalf of everyone that's benefiting from what you're doing. And I know our audience is just going to love you and going to get in touch with you and find out more about you and at least get the book.
Thank you. And the next time you hear me, we'll be speaking to the UN.
That's right.
To empower women.
That's right. That is your dream.
It's my dream.
What is it you want to speak about there?
I'm all about empowering women. Because really, when women are empowered, the world is a better place. And that's my number one mandate, is to make sure that we give women the tools to succeed and to be the leaders that they already are in the communities.
Oh, I love that. The leaders that they already are.
We just need to harness that power and that leadership and to own it, and everything else will fall in place.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you. Thank you for having me. And like I said, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. And my number one thing is to communicate, collaborate, and connect. And with those 3 C's, we can do anything. Thank you.